Okay, shall we dive into the Bethany of it all? So TMZ published an article, and they also interviewed attorney Brian Friedman, who's spearheading this reckoning, right? Bethenny Frankel has also come forth claiming to be in talks with attorneys and reality stars, and we're looking to unionize, right? Okay, cool. It's not clear if this Friedman dude is also working with Bethenny directly or not, or if their communication. It seems like they're talking and they may be merging together, like they may be building something together, right? But they don't. But because they both seem to be aligned with trying to take down NBC and Bravo. Now, first off, because TMZ, this made a big splash all over the internet over the weekend, but I want to clarify that there is no lawsuit. A lawsuit has not been filed against NBC or Bravo. Nothing is official yet, okay? This is all just expressed intent to bring legal action against the network, okay? They're basically sending a letter saying, hey, we might sue you soon, so here's a heads up. Don't go deleting any evidence because we might be coming for you. I'm coming for you. I mean, I think Ronald McDonald, Ronald Richards, or someone sent a letter like this to Bravo when they were investigating Erica saying, hey, I may need housewives footage to investigate Erica further, so don't delete any housewives footage. So it doesn't really mean a whole lot, right? To me, it's pretty similar to like a cease and desist. And a cease and desist is basically a warning, which is what this letter appears to be. But what I find interesting are the vague outlined allegations in it and how this may potentially be linked to like Rocky Rocky Bang Bang, because that was also reported that Raquel has been in talks with this attorney or with Bethenny as well. So here are some of the bullet points that TMZ has outlined from this letter of intent. Okay, they're claiming that there were deliberate attempts to manufacture mental instability by applying cast members with alcohol while depriving them of food and sleep. Okay, this I have heard that when they do like competition shows that, and former reality stars have come out and talked about that they definitely provide a lot of alcohol, and that it's not that they're depriving them of food, but that they, aren't constantly shoving pizza down their throat. I mean, they have to legally provide food. But it is encouraged because when you get drunk, it's, it creates better TV. But I think depriving them of food is a bit of a stretch. Depriving them of sleep. Now, I do remember in the Rock of Love, Flavor of Love, like the old Of Love dating shows on VH1 back in the day, I remember them talking about how they would get you drunk and then then they would kind of let you simmer for an hour or two, and then all of a sudden they would say, okay, now we're doing the elimination ceremony. And at that point, it's late in the night. So at this point, people are a little sleep deprived. And it was a tactic because they wanted the elimination ceremony to be chaotic all the time. So they wanted you lit or drunk or whatever, and you'd have to kind of throw yourself together and hope that you looked good enough to go and not be eliminated that night. So I do know that there are some of those tactics that have been used, okay? So I will give them a bit of this. I mean, attempts to manufacture mental instability. Okay, there may be a point there, right? But it's like, who doesn't love a drunken hot mess on reality television? Maybe it's not the most healthy, but maybe you don't sign up to go on a reality show. We know how these things work. We know how these games work. Denying mental health treatment to cast members displaying obvious and alarming signs of mental deterioration. I don't know if they denying mental health treatment. Like, has a cast member come to them and say, hey, can you pay for my mental health treatment? Is that what they're claiming? Because if that's the case, then I do think that the network could provide some sort of health stipend or something, or they should have therapists on hand. I do know that a lot of competition shows like The Bachelor and all that, they do have therapists on site. Actually, I don't know if you remember that show on Lifetime. What was it? Untrue or True, Untold, Unstory, something. It was something, but it was like based off of The Bachelor. That was crazy. And I remember there was a whole storyline about how there was a therapist on site and how, the therapist would like try to talk to these ladies, but like these ladies would get so drunk and crazy. And like, it's a really weird environment to put yourself in. But I mean, I do think that that is a priority because we do know how taxing these shows can be on a person's mental health. But also, it's like you want to live out real life, but then it's like you're living out your real life. So I understand like the desire to want to capture everything on camera or to not let cameras stay dead for too long. I don't know. I agree with this. We need some sort of mental health situation, but also at the same time, as an individual, as a person, you should be proactively trying to take care of your own mental health. But I think we get so addicted to the money and the fame that you're like, screw my mental health. I'm going to jump back into this game because it's good. This show is giving me everything that I think I want out of life because I'm addicted to that fame. Exploiting minors for uncompensated and sometimes long-term appearances on NBC reality TV shows. Okay, here's the interesting part, because people kept mentioning something about minors and minors and minors, and I was like, well, what is this minor thing? And my initial thought was, oh, it's probably in relation to like child labor laws, right? I mean, exploiting minors, like the first thing that I could think of though is it's like, oh, is this like the Manzo boys when they were 17 and, you know, they were filming all day at their house and it was technically past the time frame of, you know, child labor laws and you're technically under the age of 18, but it says for uncompensated and sometimes long appearances on reality shows. So that also could mean that like housewives have their kids on the show and you see their kids on the show and the kids aren't being paid to be on the show. But do the kids have a contract to be paid on the show? That's another weird technicality. I feel like that may be a bit of a stretch and we're using the term minor to make it sound bigger because I know people were reacting to that whole minor situation. And technically that's not, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. Distributing and or condoning the distribution of non-consensual pornography. Okay, this feels like maybe this is where Rocky Bang Bang is involved, because remember there was the naughty FaceTime that was being spread and then she sent the cease and desist out to everybody and she sent it to Lala instead of sending it to Randall, and she's like, send it, or instead of Daryl, she said, send it to Daryl, which, side note, by the way, my tan today, this is all give them Lala bronzer on my arms. So if I look tan and popping on the YouTube or on the what is it? Spotify, on the Spotify. If you're watching this there, you can see my glow. Just don't wet me because it'll all wash off. But yeah, okay, non-consensual pornography. So I think that's because remember they were like, Ariana sent the video and blah, 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 blah. And maybe the video also got sent to production. Maybe production was trying to reference it, talk about it, because remember they weren't even allowed to say on camera that it was a naughty FaceTime video. So this is where I think Raquel may have been involved. They're making it sound bigger, but condoning the distribution of non-consensual pornography. That could mean like they were happy that Ariana sent it to other cast members. Or distributing means they could have gotten a copy of it and maybe sent it to legal, and that's technically also distribution. Anytime there's a video that's non-consensually shared, like that's non-consensual pornography. Covering up acts of sexual violence. Again, what sexual violence are we talking about? What are we referring to? That sounds bad. But again, there are a lot of things that sound like big flames, and I'm very curious as to what the actual allegation is. What was covered up? How can you prove that it was covered up? And what was the sexual violence? Who was it towards? Who was it against? Was it a producer? Was it a cast member? I need more details. Refusing to allow cast members the freedom to leave their shows, even under dire circumstances. This is an interesting one. And I know Jacqueline Larita even talked about how in the earlier seasons of Jersey, they didn't want to let her out of her contract. And so they kept bringing her back for more. However, refusing to allow cast members freedom to leave their shows. I mean, Bethenny did say that a lot of these contracts, it's a lot of fluff and a lot of talk, but that legally they're not binding in certain clauses. So refusing cast members to the freedom. So I do know that Jacqueline talks about how like she, wanted out of her contract and they wouldn't let her out of her contract in the earlier seasons of Jersey, and they kept bringing her back. But then you have somebody like Dina Manzo that just quit the show. Or Lisa Vanderpump, who quit halfway and walked away. Maybe you don't get your money, but they're technically not bound. I don't know. I'm curious as to who that was, who wanted to leave. Why weren't they allowed to leave? This also sounds like Rocky Bang Bang. Because remember, that was part of the speculation. That was part of what was leaked to TMZ as well, is that Raquel wanted to leave, but they had another season pickup, and so they wanted Raquel to come back and film the next season, and she was like, I don't know, my mental health, I want more money. So that also seems like it could be related to Raquel, and that's why it says under dire circumstances, because that was one of the things that her team was trying to stress was, her mental health. her mental health. So let's give her an extra $1 million and her mental health will feel a lot better. Distribution of revenge porn, that I think relates back to distributing the non-consensual pornography. Is that revenge? I mean, well, distribution of revenge porn could also reference like when Sheena apparently had the video of Stassi that she sent to one of her exes, and then the ex was threatening to leak it, and Lisa had to pay the guy off. So that could be in reference to that. I doubt Stassi is participating in this. I mean, listen, wouldn't that be interesting if she was, because she's still mad at the network for firing her the way that they did? That would be interesting. But I don't know. I just know that's the only reference of revenge porn that I can remember. Non-consensual pornography in relation with cast members and alleged sexual violence perpetuated by or against cast members. Again, I would like more details on this. I don't know, It sounds bad. And listen, I'm not condoning it. I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to condone it. It's just allegations, again, are not always fact, and we have to wait to see things play out, and we have to wait to see what the actual details are, because, one person's perception isn't always everyone's reality, and so we just need to sift through it and figure it out. But again, I think if these allegations were really strong, there would be a lawsuit. So we don't know who or what the actual allegation, the details of the allegations. These are just the generalized bullet points that TMZ released. But here's where I'm a little skeptical. It's a big splash, right? We're leaking the attorney's letter to TMZ and giving an exclusive interview to TMZ. It feels very Ronald Richards. Come on. I don't believe your intentions are pure, or that you have a strong case here, because if you had a strong case here, you wouldn't need to leak it in advance. You would have a case, and you would maybe talk to the press once the case was moving forward. You wouldn't be sending them a warning letter. I think people want to capitalize off of the moment. I think we have the writers and the actors that are on strike right now. Bethenny ranted about it on her TikTok. Now it's making waves, and now people are talking about the reality stars. I think everybody wants a piece of the pie. They see potential, they see money. That's why there's an attorney that's taking the case on contingency. He's doing it pro bono because he knows that there's a lot of money to make here. Money drives, right? I don't think Bethenny cares about reality stars. I think she has a savior complex. I think she has a big old fat ego that keeps her from thinking that she can save the world, right? She wants to save the world and has convinced herself that she's the only one that can save the world. And I'm just like, girl, enough. It's annoying. She was one of the most ruthless reality stars, and she came out on top. I'm sure a lot of the accusations in the lawsuit are referencing the toxic work environment. Hello. Bethenny Frankel is the poster child for toxic work environment, with the way she capitalized that game and how terrible she was. Remember, she was telling Luann, you fucked everyone. Remember, she's ruthless and toothless. She just happened to come out on top. She worked the game to her advantage. And I think it's possible, maybe even on a subconscious level, she's willing to tank the entire reality TV world. There's nobody smarter in reality television than Bethenny Frankel. She knows the world as a producer. She knows the world as an on-camera talent. She understands reality TV, and she understands that if you end up putting too many rules, too many barriers, too many parameters, it's going to ruin what reality television was, which was always meant to just be crazy, wild, unhinged trash TV. So I think there's a strong willingness to tank it, because if she can tank it, maybe not intentionally, but just recklessly and passively without care, I think, she can tank the game that she won, because she doesn't want anybody else to win. Oh my goodness, guy. And listen, anyone with enough grit and wit can build something like Bethenny, especially with a platform like reality television, right? We just haven't seen many people be successful at it the way that Bethenny has. And I think Bethenny would like to stay at the top of the game. And so she doesn't care, because she knows what unionizing, how that will change everything. She knows, it's not just about fighting for residuals, which I agree. Residuals, reality stars should absolutely be paid residuals. There are certain things that the network should provide to its talent, considering reality shows are so cheap to produce, and when you hit a big scandal like Scandival, you make so much money. And I mean, granted, the cast members, a lot of them, some of them, most of them are making really good money with really good deals that they're working out right now. Those are being on their own. But I do think maybe Bethenny does have a point with the residuals thing, but I also think the network does try to have a really strong hold on talent. Because look at the way that they are with their PR department, right? They want to they're fining people for doing podcast interviews or pulling people from shows at the last minute, like podcast shows, like my Bourbon Room show where they pulled Lala at the last minute, like literally the day of the show, they wouldn't let her go on stage. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, what do you like? This is so stupid. So I do think that there is a bit of that like control that they have that, there needs to be a little bit of fairness in here. I get it that the network does provide a lot and gives you a really good, big opportunity. But at some point, it's like there does need to be a little level of fairness. So I think that we need to move in that direction. I don't know if this Ronald Richards attorney and Bethenny Frankel are the two to lead that movement, but I think if anything, they'll end up driving it into the ground. They'll drive reality TV as a genre into the ground. But we'll have to wait and see, because Bethenny is like a dog with the bone, and she won't stop until she like scorches everything. And that's my concern, is she's too reckless and she has nothing to lose and she wants everything to gain.